Hello everyone, my name is Curtis. Today I'm doing a review for House of Payne, Season 14, Episode 22, aka the finale. Before I get started, I do want to let you all know that I am recording directly through my phone. Normally I'm able to connect my phone to my computer, but unfortunately I cannot do that right now, so I'm going to record directly through my phone. It does default to portrait mode. I am going to try my best to switch it over to landscape mode when I edit the video, so that way it's a better viewing experience. In regards to this episode focused on the following storylines. So the first storyline was centered around Jasmine and Jackson. So Jasmine was preparing for a picnic date with Jackson. So that is something, of course, that has been really big throughout this season. They're trying to build up this relationship between them. So that was the first focus. When it came to the second focus, it was about Miranda and Javante and the fact that he was kind of ghosting her a little bit. And then also she went to a restaurant and she actually saw him there with another woman. So she believes that he is cheating, but she did block him before they could have a conversation about it. So I feel like there's more to that story, especially when you consider what happened at the end of this episode. So I'm looking forward to see how that actually plays out. The third storyline focused on how similar CJ and Janine's relationship is to Ella and Curtis. They were pretty much going through the same thing throughout this episode, and I thought that was kind of cool. When it came to the next storyline, we were looking at Calvin. So he was at home. His son told him that he looked lonely and pathetic. I was like, well, damn, man, that's kind of messed up. But he was like, you know what, since you broke up with Laura, you look like you're a little lonely, so maybe you need to step out of the house. And so he actually reached out to Miranda, like, hey, you want to come over for dinner? And she said, yeah, which isn't really surprising to consider the fact that she believes that Javante is cheating on her. The next storyline is centered around Ella and the fact that she still feels bad about what happened between Laura, Calvin, and the family. And so earlier in the episode, she actually told Curtis that she felt like she was relieved of that situation. She went to a conference and she felt like she let that situation go. But it's clear that she did not, because she actually wrote a letter apologizing to Laura. She basically reached out like, can we just meet up and have a conversation? And so I am looking forward to that, because I really feel like not necessarily that Ella owes her an apology per se, but they definitely need to have a conversation to get some type of understanding and clarification. So I am looking forward to that. And I'm proud of Ella for just realizing that, you know what, maybe things could have went a little bit differently. And the final storyline focused on Miranda and Calvin. So going back to what I was saying a little bit earlier, Calvin did reach out to Miranda like, hey, you want to come over? She was like, yeah. So she ended up coming over. They had movie night with the kids. The kids eventually ended up going to sleep, and so when they went to sleep, Calvin and Miranda, they did have a conversation. Calvin told her that he loves her, that he never stopped loving her, and that the reason why things did not work out between him and Laura was because Laura is not Miranda. Miranda said that she loves him as well. They end up kissing, and I was just like, I'm not really sure how this is going to pan out, because not really last week, but in the last couple of episodes, we found out that Laura felt like Calvin was pretty much stalking her, ended up reaching out to his parents so they can reach out to him to let him know that he was doing too much. And now he's focused on Miranda. And then Miranda, she believes that Javante was cheating on her. And now she just put herself in a situation where she's kind of back with Calvin, but not really back with him. And so this situation is just, I'm not really sure how it's going to pan out. I'm looking forward to seeing it, of course, but I just feel like they both made mistakes in this moment. All right, and now that we got the quick recap out of the way, I'm going to start the full review of the episode. So the episode began with Janine and Jasmine in the kitchen, and they're pretty much preparing for Jasmine's picnic date with Jackson. And so Janine says she wasn't really feeling Jackson at first, but she believes in love, she believes in dating, so it kind of is what it is. And as they were having this conversation, Miranda comes in, she's like, you know what, I hate love, I hate dating. So they're like, you know, what's going on, what's happening? And she lets her know that when it comes to Javante, things are just not as they were before. Like the communication is falling off. She's not really sure what's going on. Like she feels like he may be up to something. And they're like, well, what is going on? Like what happened? Like why do you feel this way? She tells them that he pretty much went ghost. There was a day where he did not reach out to her at all. And then there was a day where he was supposed to pick her up. He didn't pick her up. And then 30 minutes after that, he told her that he had to pick up his son. And so Jasmine's like, wait a minute, he has a son? She was like, yeah, but you know what, that's a conversation for another time. She then says that she really wanted to salvage the evening, but then she ended up slipping into detective mode. And so she was like, you know what I can do? I can go to the restaurant that we went to on our first date to see if he's taking somebody else on the first date. So she went to the restaurant. When she went to the restaurant, she saw him. She says that he was whining and dining another woman. And so in her mind, she feels like he was cheating. And so she ended up leaving. Jasmine was like, well, I mean, did you have a conversation with him? She was like, no, because I blocked him. And I was like, why did you block him? That's not really, see, this is the thing. I just feel like this is one of those situations where it's like miscommunication, simply because I've seen a lot of Tyler Perry shows. So that may have been like one of his colleagues, could have been his sister, been his cousin. Like she doesn't really have clarification. She didn't say that she saw them kissing or anything like that. She just saw them having a conversation. And so in my mind, I just feel like that really wasn't somebody that he was dealing with like that. So I can't wait until the next season so we can see what this was really about. Both Jasmine and Janine are just looking at her like, wait, so you didn't give him an opportunity to explain himself? Like, you're not going to call him, let him call you? You just blocked him? Like, what is this about? And she was like, well, I mean, I really did not want to hear any bullshit excuses. Like, I saw what I saw. He did what he did. He was at a restaurant with another woman at the restaurant that we went to on our first date. I believe what I saw. It is what it is. And then she says, I'm glad that I saw him for what he was prior to me getting too invested. But in my opinion, it seems like she was well invested because she got really emotional. She definitely dived in head first because, of course, it seemed like she was trying to just get over Calvin or trying to show him up or show Laura up, like, you know what, you were with Laura, let me just show you what I can do. I can get a man type of situation. And she got her feelings hurt because she went to a restaurant and saw that he was with somebody else. And so she's trying to pretend as if everything is good and that she's glad that she saw everything now. But deep down inside, she's sad and she's pissed about it. And we're going to see that she's sad about it based on what she does later in the episode. Jasmine tells her that this is a good thing because now you can focus on the man that you should be with. And then Miranda says, I really miss being a wife. And this is when CJ comes in. And then this is when CJ pretends as if he is saddened that he's going to be there alone because he asks them all, like, what are you doing? Jasmine says, I'm going to go on a picnic date with Jackson. And then when it comes to Janine, she's like, me and Miranda get ready to go somewhere. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sad. I'm going to be here by myself. I'm going to be lonely. You're just going to leave me here. So he's pretending as if he's like super sad, but really he's actually happy that they're getting ready to go because he has something planned. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And something I do want to point out when it comes to this scene is that Janine, she really wants to get a treadmill. She's trying to convince CJ to buy her treadmill. He was like, I'm not really sure because it's really expensive. She was like, why is it that whenever a wife asks a husband to buy her something, he always talks about it super expensive? He was like, because normally when a wife asks a husband to buy her something, it's because it's expensive and she does not want to spend her own money. And so this is something that's going to come up a little bit later. I just wanted to point it out because it parallels Curtis and Ella's conversation that's getting ready to come up. And speaking of Ella and Curtis, we do see them. So Glow actually comes over to the house. Curtis slams the door in her face. I said, Curtis, what are you doing, man? So he does slam the door in her face, but she does come in. Ella does end up coming into the room and greets Glow. And then we find out that those two are actually getting ready to go to a conference. And so when it comes to Curtis, he's like, oh my God, you're leaving me. I'm going to be so lonely. I'm going to be here by myself. What if I get hungry? Like, are you sure you have to leave? I'm going to miss you. Like, can you please stay? So this is very similar to what CJ was doing, right? Pretending as if he really wants her to stay, like, please don't go. Even Glow was like, you know what? I admire the fact that you love her so much and that you want her to be there. And so he was really laying it on thick, like he really wanted her to be there. And during this scene, Ella actually asked Curtis if he priced a tankless water heater because that's something that she really wants. He was saying, it's very expensive. And so they actually had a conversation that was pretty similar to the one that CJ and Janine had. And so I thought that was kind of funny that it just paralleled, like it's very similar. They're going through the same thing at the same time. And speaking of CJ, in the previous scene that involved Jasmine, Janine, and CJ, Jasmine told him that he should go visit Curtis. She's like, if you're going to be lonely, miserable, and pouting, why don't you go visit Curtis? So he's like, okay, cool. So he does go over to the house, he visits Curtis, and this is where we find out what his plan is, which is to go play poker with Curtis. So he's like, are you sure that you want to do this? You don't think Ella's going to find out? He was like, no, she's not going to find out. She's about to be at an event all day. Everything is cool. So the two of them do go out and they play poker. And surprisingly, they end up making a lot of money. Like, they made a whole lot of money. I was like, damn, that's a lot of money. And so they end up going back to the house. They're sitting down on the couch. And as they are sitting down on the couch, they actually hear Ella coming. And so they do pretend to be asleep. So when she comes in, she says their name kind of softly. They do not wake up. So she does kind of yell their name. They pretend to get up. CJ's like, you know what, I'm actually going to head out. And so once he leaves, Ella and Curtis, they do have a conversation. And they're pretty much asking each other how, their days were. And then Curtis is like, you know what, I know you wanted that tankless water heater, so here's some money, you can get it. And she was like, thank you, I appreciate it. And I was just like, Ella, you're not going to question this? Earlier in the day, he was telling you that it was too expensive. Not saying that he was broke, but that you all did not have extra money to get it. But now he has this big wad of money. And he's saying, just go out and get it. You didn't think that was a little suspicious? I guess she was just like, fuck it, I really want this, so I would ask questions a little bit later, but I just feel like she should have asked questions in that moment. But going back to talking about how each other's days went, right? So Curtis, he did ask, how was the conference? She's like, it was really good. We talked about forgiveness. And then she says, when it comes to Laura, I feel like I am relieved of that. I feel like I'm going to let that situation go. Well, we saw, of course, later on in the episode, she's not really ready to let it go. It is something that's really like heavy on her mind. It's something that she can't stop thinking about. And so I'm not really sure why she decided to lie about it in that moment, because it's clear that it's something that's really heavy on her mind. Since I'm talking about Ella, I might as well skip ahead a little bit. So when it comes to Ella, we actually see her in the kitchen. She wrote a letter to Laura basically saying that she apologizes for, everything that happened, that she wishes things may have went, a little bit differently, and that she always has a place in her heart. And I'm really proud of Ella in this moment because she realizes that maybe, I could have handled things a little bit differently, regardless of who is right and who is wrong. Maybe I could have handled this differently. You know what? Hopefully we can have a conversation so we can have some type of clarification, some type of understanding of everything that happened, and hopefully we could just be in a better place. Going back to CJ, so CJ does eventually end up making it home. Janine does come home afterwards. She was a little bit late, but it's okay because she apologized. And so when it comes to their scenes, like I said, it parallels what happens with Curtis and Ella. And so he has a lot of money because he won it from poker, similar to Curtis. And so he does end up pulling out the money. He's like, hey, you wanted that treadmill? Here's some money for the treadmill. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much. I appreciate it. He does make her say that he's pretty much like the greatest husband in the world. And then once again, I do feel like Janine should have questioned him a little bit, similar to how I feel like Ella should have questioned Curtis. But she really wanted that treadmill, so it was what it was. Now let's talk about Calvin and Miranda. So when it comes to Miranda, she did end up coming over. And then after they finished eating dinner, she was actually in the kitchen. She was washing dishes. Calvin was like, wait a minute, I invited you here to eat, not wash dishes. She was like, it's no problem at all. It's basically me thanking you for cooking food for me and the kids. And then she says that she would not want to be anywhere else. Like, this is exactly where she wanted to be. And he was like, oh, for real? She was like, yeah. He was like, oh, I would think that you want to be with Javante. And so she was like, oh, when it comes to Javante, we're not actually together. He was like, really? She was like, yeah, I told you we were just kind of dating around. It was nothing too serious, but come on now. It was something that was serious. She was trying to build towards something. Her feelings are hurt because she feels like she's getting cheated on. And so I'm just like, Miranda, what are you doing? Calvin walked up to Miranda and was like, Miranda, are you okay? She was like, Calvin, can you please go get the boys so we can have movie night? So he was like, okay, fine. So he does call the boys out. And they all end up getting on the couch. And the way that they were seated, Calvin and Miranda, they were sitting next to each other. The kids, they were on the edge. And as they were watching the movie, Calvin did put his arm around Miranda. And as the movie was going along, the kids, they ended up getting sleepy. So they ended up going into the room. And when they go into the room, this is when Calvin and Miranda, they decide to have a conversation. And so Calvin says that he loves Miranda, that he has always loved Miranda. And the reason why he could never really fall in love with Laura was because Laura was not Miranda. And he says, you know what, I really want us to try this one more time. I swear if you give me one more opportunity, I'll be the man that you want me to be. Then he asks her if she loves him. And she says, more than you ever know. Then the two of them kiss. And I was just like, Miranda, what are you doing? You did not get confirmation that he was actually cheating on you when it comes to Javante. And then also when it comes to this conversation, he was talking about Laura and the fact that it did not work out. You don't feel like a rebound in this moment? Like, come on now, Miranda. I feel like you have to make better choices in this situation. I know that when it comes to the fandom, they really want Miranda and Calvin to work out, but not like this. And that was the end of the episode, along with the end of the season. I'm so sad to see it go. Hopefully it returns really quickly like Sisters, because you remember with Sisters, that came back within, 2 weeks? So hopefully we get the same treatment when it comes to House of Payne, or at least hopefully we'll get like Satima or something in between. But like I said before, that was the end of the episode. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.